This series of badges is about randomly generated terrain, which is, I think, just a really cool part of game design and a very rewarding one, because you can create places that surprise you, places where you didn't have to place any of the blocks by hand, but they are still fun environments. And you can make terrains that you wouldn't find inside a regular Minecraft, like this one, where it's got some kind of like jagged hills and weird water flows. You wouldn't ever come across this in Minecraft because their algorithms don't generate this, but you can make algorithms that generate any kind of terrain you want. And that's what this series is about. So what I think is cool about this entire series is that we're going to do a lot of really cool stuff using one really powerful tool. And in my opinion, that is what computer science is all about. It's about building one amazing tool and then using it to do all sorts of really cool stuff. So that tool is actually hidden inside this library, Examples Cuboid Drone. And I'll pop over and show that to you. Cuboid Drone is actually just one function. It's the function cuboid, which I know is a funny name. We'll talk about that in a second. But the cuboid function is pretty long, and I'm not going to go into full detail about how the code works, but I will tell you exactly what it does in a moment. So it does some calculations, and then at the end it's got 3 nested loops, and it's doing some stuff with drones, basically. So what is a cuboid, and why is it so incredibly powerful? Let's write some code to demonstrate just how powerful it is. So I have access to this examples cuboid drone cuboid function, the same big function here that we were looking at. And this is that powerful tool that I was telling you about. This is the thing that's going to allow us to do just an amazing number of things when it comes to terrain generation. So how do we use this function? We see it takes 4 parameters. It takes a D, a start, an end, and a fun. I wrote the function, so I know what these things are. This D is a drone, so I'm actually gonna plug in a new drone right here. And actually, start and end are 2 other drones. So actually, this takes 3 drones. I know that's kind of weird, but it'll make sense in just a second. And so for the start and end drones, I'm going to save those to a variable, each one to its own variable. We're not going to call the variable item. Let's call them start and end. Takes a start and an end drone, and those will also be new drones right here. And then I'll take start and put it into start, and then I'll take end and put it into end. Now, what is the point of all this? I know it probably seems a little bit confusing. Basically, the start drone is going to tell the computer where one part of the cuboid is, and the end is going to tell it where the other part of the cuboid is. Now again, you don't know what a cuboid is yet, but let me write a little bit more code and then I can actually show you what a cuboid is. So leave the start drone exactly where it is, and let's move the end drone a little bit. Let's move it forward by 10 and up by 5 and then left by 10 as well. I'm just picking random numbers. Doesn't actually matter here. So, oh, and not drone D, we actually want to move end. So what does this mean? We make 2 drones. They start wherever we are when we run our code. We take the end drone and we move it forward away from us and then up a little bit and then left 10. And then we call the cuboid function with a new drone plus our start drone and the end drone, which is the one we just moved around. And then, last thing we need to do is put in a function right here, which takes 1 parameter. And what we're going to have that function do is place a block of type, let's say, brick. Okay. So it's a pretty short function. Again, probably a lot of this is still confusing to you. Let me show you what it does, and then we'll come back and talk about how it works. So I'll press mod. It's modding. Pop back over here into the game. I don't like when it's nighttime. I'm going to turn it to daytime. And where's my terrain mod? The one I just made right here, terrain. Let's move over here to some flat ground. And like I said, this is going to create two drones, a start drone and an end drone. The start drone is going to stay right where I run the mod, actually on this exact block right here. And the end drone is going to go forward 10, up 5, and then left 10. And then what the drone D is going to do is place a block of type brick in every single block in between the start and end drone. So it's basically going to fill up the whole area with brick. Yeah. So it basically makes a cube of brick. And that's what a cuboid is. A cuboid is an area of Minecraft that's defined by 2 points. Here, right in there, that's where the first point was, where I just placed that sponge block. And then that's where the start drone was. And then the end drone went 10 forward, so he was here. And then he went 5 up, so then he was here. And then he went left 10, so then he ended up here. So that is where the end drone was. Start drone and end drone. And you can kind of see how having just 2 blocks actually defines an entire cube. And there are a lot of blocks in between. And what cuboid does, what this cuboid function does, is it does some instructions, whatever's in this block right here, it does some instructions for every block inside the cuboid. So let's try it just one more time. We can actually use the same function to clear that area if we don't want it to be brick, let's say. Let's change it back to air. I'm going to press mod. I'm going to come back over here to the first part of my cuboid right there. I'm going to run the mod, and pop, and it clears the whole cuboid, which is pretty cool. So we just used one function to make a big kind of rectangular cube-like thing of brick, and then we used the same function with just a minor change, and then we cleared it. So you can already see that it can kind of do a lot of stuff, but it can do even more stuff. Like I showed you, it can make an entire randomly generated terrain as well. So let's start doing that in the next video in this series. But for now, I want you to actually go ahead and write this code. I want you to write some code that fills in an area with brick. And by the way, one thing that's really cool is if you've ever used the World Edit plugin, I know that's a pretty popular plugin. World Edit has a lot of nifty tools for filling in areas, like filling them in with brick, and it does the exact same thing. World Edit uses cuboids. So cuboids are so powerful. It's not just something we're making up right here. Cuboids are something that other programmers use to do really cool things, like the people who coded up World Edit. They decided to use cuboids to make their code work. And so when you use World Edit, you always pick 2 positions, and that defines a cuboid, and then you could do stuff like fill it in. So we're actually going to make our own tool that does a lot of the same stuff that World Edit does, and then we're actually going to go beyond that. So go ahead and write this function right here.